I speak now as a voice observing history rather than celebrating it. Nothing in this story is an invitation to repeat what happened. It is only a recollection of events that shaped a city. Any substances mentioned here were harmful then and remain harmful now. Nothing in this narration promotes their use. My story begins in the late 1960s in South Los Angeles, a place divided by poverty, limited opportunity, racial tension, and young people searching for identity. I was one of those young observers. I watched boys who felt unprotected, who believed official systems ignored them. They wanted unity and safety, though the path they chose became something different with time. That was the environment in which an organization known as the Crips came to exist. The word meant little at first, just a local street identity, but over years it became recognized everywhere. I remember hearing about two young men, charismatic and determined, Raymond Washington and Stanley Williams. Their goal at the beginning sounded like neighborhood self-protection. If the world outside seemed hostile, they wanted a structure that felt like belonging. But what begins as protection can turn into something sharper when anger is mixed with hopelessness. I remember the earliest signs of identity: the blue clothing, the walk, the attitude. Blue was not just a color. It became a signal, a visual code. It separated us from them, at least in the language young people adopted. None of this was smart or safe. It was symbolism born from rivalry. Hand gestures developed too, stylized finger signs designed to show membership. Outsiders rarely understood them. Insiders treated them like a secret alphabet. What should have been harmless visual expression became, over time, a way to provoke conflict. I do not praise it. I only recount how it existed. As the 1970s progressed, the group expanded. It was no longer one unit. It became a loose network across dozens of neighborhoods, each section calling itself a set. Some sets barely spoke to each other. Others saw each other as competition. It was a strange thing, a banner of unity that simultaneously produced division. And then came a response. Young men who felt threatened by the expansion of blue created a rival network dressed in red. I do not repeat the name out of respect for the platform, but history makes this rivalry well known. For decades, Los Angeles lived under the tension created by these colors. People lost friends and relatives over decisions that began with clothing, identity, pride, and anger. I witnessed the 1980s arrive like a storm. The economy was strained, wages were low, entire neighborhoods were neglected, and another destructive force entered the streets: illegal substances sold for quick profit, the kind that destroy families. Let me say this clearly, so there is no misunderstanding. These substances ruin lives. They did then and they do now. They are harmful, addictive, and devastating. Nothing in this story encourages their use, but the money generated by those substances fueled the organization. Young members began to see fast cash where ordinary jobs seemed unreachable. And where money appears, so do weapons, fear, mistrust, and violence. By the mid-1980s, news outlets across the United States were reporting on events in Los Angeles with shock and confusion. Children who should have been playing basketball were instead aligning themselves with colors. The style became recognizable worldwide: baggy clothes, blue accents, bandanas, athletic shoes, and a confidence that crossed into intimidation. Hip-hop culture, especially early West Coast rap, documented these images. Some artists described the lifestyle in harsh detail, sometimes as critique, sometimes as reflection of their environment. That music was not responsible for the behavior, but it preserved the emotional record. Even language changed. A specific dialect developed: street slang, coded greetings, and territorial nicknames. Many young men thought it sounded powerful, but it also isolated them further from society. The world assumed every member was dangerous, Yet the reality was complicated. Some boys joined for identity, others for fear of being targeted, others because they lacked father figures. None of these reasons excuse destructive actions, but they help us understand how desperation can mislead young minds. Law enforcement reacted heavily in the late 1980s and early 1990s. Entire legislative programs were built around punishing gang activity, but punishment alone could not fix the underlying issues: poverty, broken education systems, and lack of community support. Some neighborhoods felt like battlegrounds. A misplaced gesture, the wrong color of shirt, or even walking down the wrong street could be life-threatening. I remind again, nothing about this was glamorous. Nothing about it should be imitated. The illegal substances often associated with this era are deeply harmful. What surprised you most about this history? By the 1990s, the network expanded beyond Los Angeles, other states, even other countries. Some members were imprisoned, some became involved in legal business, some left entirely and tried to warn younger generations. One of the founders, Stanley Williams, eventually spoke publicly from incarceration, encouraging youth to avoid the path he once helped shape. That message, "Leave violence behind," was perhaps one of the most important chapters. Symbols continued evolving. Tattoos appeared, letters, crowns, numbers, sometimes geographic initials. They were meant to express pride, but in truth, they locked people into reputations difficult to escape. When you carve identity into skin, society does not forget. As years passed, documentaries showed another side: mothers mourning, children crying, former members entering rehabilitation. These were not action movie characters. They were human beings dealing with consequences. Rehabilitation workers repeatedly emphasized that substances are harmful, that they break the body and the mind. Former participants echoed that message again and again. In the 2000s and 2010s, community programs finally grew stronger. Mentorship, school support, after-school sports, counseling, and employment assistance helped redirect some of the energy that once flowed into destructive behavior. Did it erase everything? No, but it proved that change was possible. Some members aged out, some sought peace, some turned to activism, telling younger teens that street glory is a myth, that real power lies in opportunity, not destruction. I saw men who once embraced symbols of blue, later wearing business suits, working jobs, raising families. And yet, the legacy remains. When people speak of Los Angeles street history, the name of this organization still arises. But its meaning has shifted from power to cautionary tale. The story tells us a few things. When young people lack opportunity, destructive identities form. Symbols like colors and signs can become dangerous when amplified by anger. Illegal substances are harmful and lead to suffering, not success. Communities need support, not abandonment. I tell this narrative not as an anthem, but as a mirror. If you use this story in a video, let your viewers understand that history does not need to repeat itself. If someone listening is young, impressionable, or curious about street identity, let them hear the truth. There is nothing heroic waiting in that lifestyle. The cost is high, the danger is real, and the substances associated with it are deeply destructive to health and family. I end my narrative where I began, back in the streets of South Los Angeles. The sunlight still hits the concrete the same way. Kids still ride bicycles. Hope still exists. The difference now is knowledge. And knowledge, unlike colors on clothing, does not divide people. Knowledge can save them. Tell us in comments what topic you want next.